Welcome, welcome, welcome to our evening call tonight. I'm very excited about this call because we're going to start out with two, I believe, founding members of iGalen with their testimonials and their experiences with the products now for over a period of time. And I'm excited about those testimonials. And then after our two wonderful women share, we're going to move right into the big reveal. The curtains will be pulled back and brought to center stage. We can't wait. The graphic, the image, the whole visual we will have to help people better understand how to have anti-aging, greater health, and of course Ron and Ken will be going into that. So very, very full call tonight. I'm delighted we're all here. And I'd like to start with our first testimonial, which will be with Maureen Plant, who has so graciously offered to come on. And Maureen is from Port Colborne, Ontario, Canada. She is the CEO of her own company, Global Holistic Body Balance. And as I mentioned, a founding platinum member of iGalen. So with this, Maureen, we'd like to give you a warm welcome and would love to hear your testimony of how it's been going with using the products. So let's see, Maureen, you're not muted. Maureen, we know you're here. We've seen you. Let's see. Okay, Maureen, do you believe you're talking? Because if you are, we're not hearing you. So maybe the volume needs to be turned up on your computer. Okay, so, oh no, you just muted, let's see. You're unmuted, your camera's on. What is going on? Let's see here. All right, there's Maureen. Hi, Maureen. You're not muted. Can you talk again? Let me see your talk. Okay, have you checked the volume on your computer? We're not hearing a thing, darling, and I can't read lips, unfortunately. Do you mind writing in the chat, Maureen, what you're trying to say? Because I'm not sure why we're not hearing you when we can see you. You're not muted. There we go. Maureen? Is that you? Okay. Let's see here. I have my mic up as far as it will go. Okay.
We did see Maureen's mic come and show, the little icon showed for a minute. I wonder if she just clicked that on and off a couple of times, if that might do it, because it showed. Okay, so now it's showing, yeah, showed muted, and now it's unmuted but not hearing. Oh, that's too bad.
You're talking? Why aren't we hearing you, Maureen? Yeah, golly gee, we're so looking forward to hearing from you. Does anybody have any suggestions? I'm not sure what to offer as a solution here so we can hear you, Maureen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear somebody, yes.
This is Deb Sterling. I'm just wondering if she has the audio turned on Zoom. There's an audio control on Zoom.
There is? Okay, Deb. So teach us about our audio control on Zoom. Where would we find that? We'd look in the So on the top left menu, Maureen, of your computer screen.
She actually said she's got a mic up as far as it will go. So I'm wondering if you even go out of the call and come back in.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next thing too. Yeah, Maureen, let's try that. Sometimes it's just the connection got made wrong. So how about if you completely log out, Maureen, and then come back in? Okay, Maureen, can you give me a thumbs up that you can hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So how about you go ahead and log out, Maureen? We'll go along with Christy, and then as soon as Christy's done, you'll be back in and we can hear you just fine. I know that's what's going to happen. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So for the sake of our power hour, we are moving right along with Christy Delaney, who I've been learning, and before the call started here, is the healthy, hearty woman born and raised in Montana. And she's the president of her own company titled Better Health Naturally. I think that's great. We'll just love it. And Christy Delaney is coming to us from Helena, Montana. So Christy, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. We actually call it Helena.
Helena, thank you.
We're not going to Helena handbasket here. All right, I'll jump right in. Yes, I born and raised in Montana and spent a bunch of time in eastern Montana, western North Dakota, and so I have lots of history of farm and ranch and abusing my body. And so at this time I'm 21 times 3 plus 1, which is much better than saying what it is.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I've been using the Emulin now for about a year, and I gave my testimony just a couple of months after I had started it, and I'd had some great results at that point. And 8 or 10 months later, I'm so happy. You know, the symptoms the problems I was having with the neuroma in my foot and the arthritis in my fingers and hair loss, it's just, those things are so much better than they were. And then with the introduction or the addition of the Climax, it just really amplified it. And in addition, I've had problems with irritable bowel for years and a long time, and just really haven't been able to get myself back to normal and what I would call balanced. And it's kind of interesting to have poop the color we do now, but I just love what it does. And then, of course, after you take the Climax, your teeth are that Smurfy blue, and so is your tongue, and that's pretty interesting and humorous to some people. And but when it fades away, I've had lots of people tell me how much whiter my teeth are.
Wow.
So it just, I love the taste of it. I think it's fun to take it. I just have, with the combination of the two products that we have so far, I'm just happy. I've been involved in health and nutrition for many, many years, and these products are the best products that I have ever marketed. By far, hands down. I'm very excited. In fact, I got out of network marketing and dealing with products for probably about 4 or 5 years because I just really couldn't find products that I wanted to market to my friends and family and their friends and family until I was introduced here. So it's just been a very positive thing, and I look forward to my testimony in a year from now with what else is going to happen. It's on to bigger and better things, I know.
Right, it's just going to get better and better. There's no question about that. I mean, you have such a robust health, Christy, that's coming through, right? And for those of us who didn't hear your testimony a few months when you were first taking it, were there symptoms that you had when you first started taking Emulin that might be the kinds of symptoms other people could relate to and that they changed?
Well, I have a neuroma in between two of my toes from years of walking in high heels.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where I could hardly walk on my foot at times. When that thing was flared up, there was just no putting any pressure on my foot. And I had contemplated going to the foot doctor and having surgery on it so that I could function and be active and not have that searing pain. And now the neuroma still bothers me once in a while. I don't wear heels very much. I love to dance, so I do wear dance shoes once in a while, but they have sensible heels. But that neuroma is so much better. It bothers me once in a while, but it's only once in a while now, so that's given me a lot more freedom. I have a Fitbit on my wrist, and most days, unless there's something odd going on, I do get my 10,000 steps in, and I just feel like the Emulin has just made a huge difference with that. And my fingers, I have arthritis in my fingers. You can let me see if I can. That finger right there goes every which way but loose, which is pretty funny. And it was getting worse and worse, and clicking, and now with the Emulin and the Climax, I'm able to get rings on my fingers. I haven't been for years, and I don't have the aching pain and the clicking that was going on in my fingers before, because they wanted to put me on Neurontin or something like that, which is a nerve type of pharmaceutical. And while I knew that would mask the symptoms, it would do nothing to solve the problem. And I'm all into solving the problem. Better Health Naturally is, you can't call me polypure, but Better Health Naturally is try how I live my life for the most part. And being 21 times 3 plus 1, I was experiencing a lot of hair loss. And now when I take a shower, I hardly have any hair in the drain. In fact, usually there's none there. And I've had 3 summer haircuts since January 1st, which is really funny living in Montana where it's cold. But my hair, now that it's growing back again, it's growing in thicker than it was before. So I'm contemplating maybe letting it grow longer again, because I love long hair. My hair is naturally curly, but it was just getting too thin to be what I would like it to look like. So that's just really, those are the things that I dealt with initially. And I like the bowels, even with the Emulin, I didn't experience a lot of difference, but adding the Climax to what I'm doing, that really made such a difference. I have normal stools now. Interesting color, but they're pretty darn normal, which is fantastic. The older you get, the more difficult it is to be regular on a regular basis. And so I'm just thrilled with it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that. I mean, a couple of things again. For those of us that share the same decade as you, hearing about your hair growing back even thicker, where you're considering letting it grow long again, that is like choir music to so many of us women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
truly. And also what I'm hearing is with this neuroma that the Emulin now, it literally saved you from a surgery that gosh knows where that would have led, and we don't even want to think about where that goes. So
I know.
This is so, and like I said, your health is just so robust. It comes through so clearly. And how these 2 products have just really brought that balance in that's so potent in your vitality coming through. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Christy. I want to check in the chat just to see if anybody has a question. Nope. And we'll just open it up if anybody had anything they would like to ask Christy. While
I had a comment,
yes,
Christy, on the hair, and thank you for that testimonial. I have a patient, a little bit older than you. She's still young, but a little bit older than you, who came in and said, "What the heck is in that stuff? Because I have to curl my eyelashes now because they're hitting my glasses, and they never used to."
is that's so fun?
Yeah.
That's one. Wow. I had to, last time I had my haircut. Last time I had my haircut, I had to have my eyebrows trimmed.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
I haven't had the experience. I never even thought about that until you mentioned eyelashes, but I can't wait for those to grow in longer.
Yeah, then you have to be curling them so they don't hit your eyeglass. Yeah, that's great. We love it. We love it. Okay, that's what we're all going to receive and are inspired from your testimony, Christy. Hair growing in so much here. Okay. And okay, so Jackie is asking, thank you, Jackie. I knew there was something. What is the dosage that you are taking of both of the products, Christy?
On the Emulin, I'm taking 4 a day, 2 twice a day. I had cut back, but with the arthritis in my fingers, it took, I had to go back up to the 4. And then with the Climax, I'm taking 1 level teaspoon in a cup of water once a day.
Okay, so you just take the Climax once a day.
Yes, in the morning after I brush my teeth.
And that has made the difference for your irritable bowel to balance out.
Yes.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much, Christy. Appreciate it very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay. Has Maureen joined? Yes, Maureen, you're back. Shall we unmute you and see if you can join us now? I just saw you. We just went on. Yeah, you're not muted.
No, we can't hear.
Oh, I thought wasn't her coming through.
No, I can see her trying to talk and she's not coming through.
There's a microphone at the bottom of the screen on the left, and there's an arrow beside it. If you click on that, and then there's like the bottom section says leave computer audio or audio options. She might be able to sort of check in there and make sure that she's on, if you're on your computer, Maureen, that you're on computer audio is connected. So I don't know if that might work.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay!
What did you do? We need to know.
I did exactly what she just said to do. I went in and it said the mic was as low as it would go. I'm like, what? Who did that?
Okay.
My bad.
Awesome. Thanks, Deb.
Computer. Thank you, Deb Barnett. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes, thank you.
Yay, Maureen. Well, thank you, Maureen, for being so willing to come on. She's Maureen has been so just chomping at the bit. Here.
Thanks, Juan. I tried to join this meeting 2 days in a row. Before today.
He was here Monday, Tuesday, and now Wednesday.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's just been that kind of a week. I'm going to share my testimony, but I hope you don't mind. I wrote it out so I don't forget things because I was in a car accident on April the 30th, and I ended up with double whiplash. And the doctor said that if I wasn't on this medication that I'm on, that I would probably be in a lot worse shape than I am.
Not the medication, the two products. The Emulin.
Yes, I'm on Emulin and I'm on Climax.
And the doctor said because of those supplements,
right,
doing so well.
It kept the inflammation down, but still, you know, your brain gets whacked around in your head. So he said it will get better, but I'm doing better every day. But I didn't want to forget anything because I love nothing more than to talk about these products. So just bear with me. Tell me if you can still see me. Can you still see me?
Absolutely. You are radiant coming through.
Thank you. Well, hi, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I thank you, Fawn, for inviting me to be a part of tonight's conversation. As you know, I am currently a platinum distributor and a founding member with iGalen, and I'm absolutely in love with the products and the company. I'm also happy to share how I became part of the iGalen family. I've been a diabetic for almost 3 decades that we're aware of, and along with uncontrolled sugar, I also had asthma, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor circulation, blockages in both my legs, arthritis, bursitis, edema, stage 3 kidney damage, glaucoma, numbness and diabetic neuropathy in my feet, legs, and it was moving into my hands. I had fatty liver disease and psoriasis in thick, huge patches all over. I took so many pharmaceuticals, it was unbelievable, and nothing made me better. Nothing. I was not able to walk unless I used a cane or a walker, but for most trips I was in a wheelchair. In 2015, I developed an infection in my left foot. My feet were very dry, and I got a little paper cut on my heel, and I thought I was taking care of it, but I also developed, I had bandages on it all the time, and I developed an allergy to the adhesive that's on the bandages. But then I developed a hole under there became a callus, and then I developed a hole there. Well, from that hole, I got an infection. And in 2016, I ended up with they turned into 2 diabetic ulcers. And they were infected with a really old, rare infection. And none of the modern medicine they gave me cured it. So my foot doctor made up an IV concoction. He said it was an old, rare medicine that people didn't use anymore. And I had to have IV, which that was the last resort for me. But it took 7 weeks of daily IV treatments to cure it. In June of that year, I had arterial surgery in both legs to get rid of the blockages. A week later, because of difficulties breathing, I was sent to the hospital, and tests revealed I had a blood clot in my lung. And I was put on blood thinners and sent home. In July of 2016, my kidney specialist warned that I had stage 3 kidney damage and was looking at dialysis and a transplant. And then in August, my regular GP told me that my liver damage was very bad and I was not ever going to be able to heal from it. In October of 2016, I was hospitalized because I was losing blood, and they had to do a scope to find out why. My hemoglobin, which is normally supposed to be at 120, was at 52. I was bleeding internally from the blood thinners and ended up receiving 3 blood transfusions, 2 bags of iron, and on day 4, they released me. In December, I remember doing my morning devotionals and asking if this was going to be my life. I was totally dependent on my husband to care for me. I was unable to do anything on my own. I was afraid of my own shadow. I was afraid of falling. I was depressed over my poor health, and I distinctly remember hearing that it would get well. A few days later, my friend Rick LeClaire got a hold of me on Facebook, and he said to me, there's a new product coming to Canada, and I'm telling you, Maureen, this is going to save your life. I promised him I would try it, and after iGalen launched in January, I ordered my first bottle of Emulin, and I started it the day I received it, and that was February 11th. That day changed my entire life. I followed the 9-day carb reset, and within 4 days, I was able to get up and walk. And I walked the length of my house, and it's 30 feet. I was not able to walk that. That used to take me, it would take me 20 minutes to get from where I'm sitting right now outside to my car, because I could only walk 10 feet and then I'd have to stop and rest. To go anywhere was a nightmare. I was so exhausted. So after being on this for a couple of weeks, my husband decided to go on it too, and then we both loved how we felt, so I became a platinum distributor. The more I took it, the better I felt. I started sleeping through the night. I was able to give up one of my puffers because I had asthma. In the first 3 months, I lost a pant size. My sugar levels went from high teens to normal. I didn't have any more circulation problems, no more muscle cramps. My arthritis stopped hurting. My bursitis stopped hurting. I actually gave away my wheelchair. Within 4 or 5 months, I gave up my walker. The diabetic ulcers healed up, and my feet and legs became pink and warm. I was able to do some of my housework, and again, I was so happy because it was a big day because I got to drive again. I had not driven in 2 years. I was able to shop and be independent. That year in July, my kidney doctor told me that my kidneys had improved so much, they were working at 6 points from normal. 2 weeks later, my general practitioner told me that I could have a beer if I wanted. 10 years of fatty liver disease was gone. I just kept getting better, and then in January of this year, I was able to add Climax to my daily routine. My feelings of wellness just kept getting stronger. My gray hair began to fade, and I got lots of new hair growth, and it was thicker and less hair loss. The diabetic neuropathy pain and shaking in my feet, legs, and hands was getting less and less. The part of my heel that was missing since the infection, now the hole in my heel was as big as the heel in my hand and went right to the bone. That part had only healed. It was like this part of my heel was missing. It's growing in.
Oh,
I just, when I went to the foot doctor, she's going, "Oh, the side of your foot looks so great." I'm like, "Wait till you see my heel," and they're like astounded. They can't believe it's literally growing in. Yeah, I've had psoriasis my whole life, and I had it on my elbows, my knees, and then I had this big, thick patch that went from hip to hip, and it was thick and scaly and itchy, and oh, I wore holes in my clothes. Actually, like when I get my pants from last year, they all have holes in the back because I literally scratched through them. And I have clear skin there now. Well, it's not totally clear, but hey, man, I'm so excited because I don't have nothing on my elbows anymore. There's nothing on my knees. I had a patch down the front of my leg. It's gone. And I'm so excited. I'm not scratching anymore. And I have stretch marks. They're almost gone. Things that used to make me happy or make me cry things that used to make me unhappy or make me cry or upset don't bother me anymore. And I have a feeling of hope that was missing from my life. Everywhere I go, when I run into people who have not seen me in a long time, they are absolutely astonished in the change in me. I tell absolutely everybody I meet about these products. And I encourage everyone who has any kind of health issue to get on one or the other or even both. You have nothing to lose from these products, who for me, the only side effect was good health. And I'd like to thank you all for letting me speak tonight.
well, thank you, Maureen. And I mean, to start with such a significant difference in 4 days, and it just getting better and better. What is the dosage of the Emulin that you took for the year?
I would take, when I first started out, I took it 15 minutes before I ate. So if you take it, I took one, so I take 3 times a day. If you take it 15 minutes before you eat, it helps absorb 33% of the caloric intake. So that was how I was losing weight. So once I started adding Climax, I would start taking 2 Emulin in the morning, and then I take another one at supper time. If I'm going to be really busy, like this past weekend, my husband and I were at a wedding where he was the best man and I was like the wedding coordinator as well as the photographer. And I was busy all weekend and I had to double up on everything, right? So I doubled up on everything. And the good thing about Emulin is you cannot overdose on it. If you have too much, like I can feel it. I never sweat, and I was sweating. And I like that feeling, and I was sweating. And I'm like, oh, I took too much Emulin on. But it gave me the energy to get through the night. Do you know what I mean? I was all over. This wedding was at a golf course, and I had to go and climb stairs and go to the girls' place where they were all getting their hair and makeup done and getting dressed and then walking all over the place. It was just very busy for this girl who a year ago was in a wheelchair. And when people see me, they don't believe it. Like people who haven't seen me in forever, like they just like, wow, Maureen, I can't believe you. Like I can't believe me sometimes, you know, when I look in the mirror. Like my grandchildren used to only know me as especially the baby, only knew me as grandma who sat in the chair. And I remember watching them, and you know, they were running and jumping, and they're not even thinking about how their body's working. They're just doing it. And I remember being actually jealous because they're just expecting their body to work. My body didn't work. My body didn't do the things that I wanted it to do. I slept downstairs for almost a year. My husband slept upstairs. We didn't sleep in the same room or the same bed for almost a year because I couldn't get upstairs. My brothers brought me a chairlift, but when I got upstairs, I was so afraid of falling that I didn't want to go upstairs. I just wanted to stay down here because I was afraid I would fall down the stairs. I'll never forget when I got off the chairlift and I stood up. I was right. I just got right against the other wall. So when I started taking Emulin, I lost that fear. And I didn't even realize that was a valid fear till the nurses asked me. Because I had nurses come in here twice a week, 3 times a week, and when I was taking the IV every day. So, but they noticed a big change in me. And I'll never forget when the foot doctor said to me, I can't believe your foot. I can't believe this. And my arterial doctor, he's like, I don't understand this. This should not be happening. But he's willing to listen, and he took all the information, and I said, hey, look, don't listen to me. Like, go and look it up yourself. Like, I'll even give you a bottle if you want. No, it's okay. He says, I got the information. But he put it right in my medical chart so other doctors can see it. Sorry.
Maureen,
Sorry.
I want to be sharing with you that people are really being inspired by your story.
Oh.
And that what Lauren writes is, wow, Maureen, you are such an inspiration. Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
yes.
You guys are so welcome. I have come so far, and I never doubted. Once when Rick told me this, we did a little video chat, and he said, this stuff is going to save your life, Maureen, I promise you. And you need to understand something. I am the supplement queen. And when I told my husband I wanted to take this stuff, he said, what about all the stuff that's up on the fridge? I said, it's up there because it doesn't work. I said, this stuff is supposed to work. And they're going to give, none of that stuff gave me a guarantee. This stuff is 100% money back guarantee.
Right.
Oh, well, that changed his mind. But he said he couldn't believe it. After 4 days, if you guys could have seen my face, he was leaving. And at that point in my life, I was stuck in the house, and it always seemed like he was leaving. And I remember I thought, I got to go wave goodbye to him. And I got up from where I was walking, and I walked 20 feet that way. And there was a little pillow. We have a little dog, and I like to leave this cushion on the hassock, and he likes to push it off. And I just walked over, stepped right over it, and I'm standing at the window, and I'm waving goodbye, and all of a sudden I went, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm calling everybody. I just walked across the room without a cane. Like, everybody was so thrilled. Like, I just give all the praise to God, because if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have led these gentlemen to these discoveries, and none of us would be getting well. None of us. So,
well, I mean, you truly, to have dropped this legitimate fears that you have, to be so filled with hope and passion and understanding that just, you are embodying so clearly. It just really, I mean, getting to hear you now, it's hard to believe it was as it was, I mean,
yeah.
It's fantastic. So,
well, I could show you pictures of what my foot looked like, but you guys would be thrown up.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for a picture.
My imagination is active enough. But
Okay.
and
Yeah,
I want to read what Jackie wrote is, oh my gosh, you are such a warrior and survivor, Maureen. What a fabulous return to life for you.
Oh, thank you, Jackie.
Yeah.
And Maureen, I'd like to say I was on the call when you did your first testimony with Dr. John, and so I remember that very well, and how inspirational it was at that time, and just to see the additional things and the additional energy and just the joy in you, and that, like you said, that feeling of hope, and it's just exuding out of you, and it's just fabulous to see it. This many months later, after seeing an already fantastic testimony, it's just gotten better and better. So, wow, you are unstoppable. And compared to your last weekend, compared to a year ago, yeah, unbelievable. So, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you.
And I just want to be clear, how much Clownax are you taking? Because it has cleared up your psoriasis as well as growing back.
I'm only taking a half a scoop or maybe a little bit more a day.
Once a day. You just do it once a day as well?
Once a day. Sometimes if I like the energy boost that it gives me, so I'm usually mixing it in this, and drinking it straight out of this.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you something, my little 3-year-old, well, he just turned 4, he keeps reminding me, he loves that. He loves it. He goes, he comes into the house in the morning and he'll go, oh, Grandma, that's the good stuff. You're so right, buddy.
That's
You're
how we
so
start
right.
them out, right?
Yep. Start him out right. Yeah. I mean, it can't hurt him. And I mean, he doesn't always like it when it's mixed with liquid, but sometimes I'll give him a little bit, like with a little bit of water on the end of a spoon. He likes it because it turns his tongue blue. Look,
Right.
I'm a Smurf.
Yeah. Maureen, could I just ask one question? Going back to into your history, when you mentioned being on blood thinners, was
Mhm.
that before you started the Emulin?
Yes.
Were you off of blood thinners when you started the Emulin?
Yes, I had arterial surgery.
Yeah.
And they put me on. Then I had a blood clot, and the doctor in the thoracic lab wanted me to go on Xarelto, and my husband really had a fear of it because we only have antenna TV, so we get a lot of stuff from the States, and there was a lot of warnings about being on Xarelto. So we did bring that up, and he said, the doctor said, well, the benefits far outweigh the fear. So we said, okay. And there were times during the summer when I can remember one day sitting outside and it was beautiful, and I was out by the canal and it was such a beautiful day, and I was feeling really healthy, but that never lasted. And then I was at my sister-in-law's wedding, and I was using a walker. I had no energy. I didn't get up and dance. To walk from where we were seated to go to the bathroom took me 20 minutes. I had no energy, right? Well, now I know why. But yeah.
Okay, I was just curious that you weren't taking the blood thinners at the same time as the Emulin, just looking at that time frame. Okay,
No.
good. Thank you.
Sorry.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really appreciate who you are and seeing your robust energy, and thank you for being so to share your story.
I'm sorry I took up so much time, guys. I'm sorry.
No. We have loved it. And we are now ready to move on. So
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. So, because we want to give enough time to our two doctors, Ken Pepperdine and Ron Bursama, ND, HD, as they reveal the new graphic. So, the doctors Ken and Ron, I'm handing it over to you.
Well, Ron has the graphics, so I'll have, he can put it up for us, and then we'll lead you through it. We may be a little short on time, but you'll get the idea.
Hopefully you can see it all.
Oh, wow, look at this. Oh my goodness. Very clear. Okay, I'll go on mute. This is exciting.
Do you want me to start, Ron, or do you want to start?
Go ahead.
So first of all, I got to say that this isn't written in stone. This is a principle. So you're getting a principle of how to build health and where the foundation of health is and what to select in your pursuit of health. The specifics are variable. So at the base, why don't you go over the base, Ron, and I'll take number 2.
Okay. Well, as you can see, going left to right here, we've got healthy choices is number 1, the foundation. And really, this is a pyramid, or any structure needs a good foundation. So what we've got in the bottom base, both in the dark blue and the lighter blue, are things that are inexpensive. And I don't know if you can see the dollar sign off to the far right, but there's $1 sign there. And basically what we're saying by this is almost free. It doesn't cost you anything. So, and you'll see as we progress that the dollar signs are multiplied as we go up the pyramid. But we need some things like exercise. We can walk out the door. I mowed my grass today, and just mowing the grass, I put on almost 10,000 steps walking. So that's a good thing. Forgiveness. You know, there's so much anxiety in the world today, and everybody seems to be angry at everybody, except the people who are sharing Emulin. They're probably real happy with you, but there's a lot of people who are dealing with unforgiveness, and boy, that's a drag on the immune system. It's a drag on life, period. And then we won't have the joy. So joy is something that we get by just being who God created us to be. And we need clean water. We need the social bonds. And we've got, so many connections today that we can connect with people, whether it's through Facebook, these group meetings that we're having now that literally are going all over the world, which is quite amazing because I'm from an era before there was internet, before there was cell phones, before there was anything like this. So we've got some great communication skills and social bonds that we can really connect with people. And family is so critical to all that. And then it goes to what I've been teaching for 30 years now. And we got to get back to the right food. Because if we don't start with the right food to begin with, and we're only taking supplements, and we've got great supplements, we've heard great testimonies, but we need that foundation, unprocessed foods. So, you go to the grocery store and it's just shelf after shelf after shelf after shelf of foods that are dead, processed, man-made, that do more harm than good. So what we want is the unpasteurized or pasteurized food, so organic as much as we can get it. And then on the flip side of it, we need the spiritual side, and that's so critical as well. God, spirit, love, all those things come through God. And we need a clean environment. We need healthy breathing. We need clean water. We need proper rest. We need good mental hygiene. And that's simply as just getting good thoughts in, associating with people who are positive and have like minds. So those are the foundations, and they really don't cost anything for the most part. Ken, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Ron. And I'll just say a few things. And again, these are variable. So wherever you're spiritually grounded, that's good. We're not trying to push any one particular religion or anything like that, although I know Ron is very Christian. Mental hygiene, we have to groom our thoughts. A lot of people are buried in worry. Worry deals with the future. Fear deals with the future. Regret deals with the past. And if you're living, if your mind is in the future and your mind is in the past, you're not living in the present. So being in the present is very, very important. Happiness or joy, that's free. It is simply a choice. Don't make your happiness attached to things. Forgiveness, I'll never forget a doctor from Okinawa, Tom Iwama, who I used to listen to his talks, and people would ask him, why is it that people from Okinawa live so long? Is it the coral calcium, or is it the fish, or whatever? And Tom said, no, we never go to bed at night without having forgiven every act of the day before. Because if you don't forgive, that's carrying a stone in your heart, and that will kill you. And I've taken that very seriously. So those are just a couple of comments. Nutritional deficiency, all right? So what are we missing? Obviously the flavonoids. We all know that story. We all know the story about Climax, so I'm not going to get into that in detail because this is just where they fit. Probiotics, we've got to get our gut health good. Vitamin D, now you could put a question mark beside that, because if you're a lifeguard in Hawaii, chances are you don't need vitamin D. So there are other things. These are not the only things, but there are other things that fit in there. And so don't take this as being written in stone. It's variable, but it's giving you the principle of where we should go. When you have the base that Ron just outlined, you have a base of health. And when you take those things that work on deficiency, those are the people, those are your patients who get really well really fast. If they're not getting really well really fast, go back to the base and say, where are you missing something in that base? What's going on? Are you highly stressed? Or is there other things going on? Because that's affecting your response. Ron, do you want to talk about 3?
Well, I can. I want to really say something about the oils too. We've got to really be careful about the oils because there's so many that are coming from sources today that are not the cleanest. So we got to watch those omega-3s and omega-6s. And what we're getting pretty much in our diet today, unfortunately, is a lot of way overboard in omega-9s. So we got to look for good things and not necessarily even fish-based because of what's going on in our culture and what's happened in Japan with Fukushima. A lot of the omega-3 oils are fish-based, and some of the fish we got to really be very careful in. So that's a really important thing. The minerals too, we got to get those from good sources, and that leads us really into what we're talking about, especially with the Climax, is we're getting the trace minerals that are found in Klamath Lake. And if we get those trace minerals, we talked a little bit about this last week, but there are spark plugs. If we've got energy, and Maureen had such energy, and it was a thrill, Maureen, to listen to you talk. We are all blessed by your presentation. Both presentations were really great. You had such a dynamic presentation because I know a lot of what you've dealt with. I've seen a lot of that in my family. So that spark comes from minerals. Minerals are the spark plugs of the body. So we've got a lot of them naturally occurring in Climax. And then the Emulin, I was privileged to be on a call last Saturday with Dr. Joe. There was just a small group of doctors on a call. We have these every other week, pretty much, and back and forth between Dr. Joe and Dr. Stefano. But he talked about the Emulin, and you mentioned something, Maureen, about the overuse of Emulin. If we use too much, and he talked about that, it'll just ooze out through your skin, which will protect us from sunburns. And if you've got things like psoriasis, my father had that to the point where we didn't get to go to the beach much because he wasn't going to go out and show his elbows and knees. So we lived 6 miles from Lake Michigan, and we hardly ever got to the beach until I got old enough to go by myself because of the psoriasis, the heartbreak of psoriasis. So boy, Emulin has so much potency in terms of those flavonoids and the flavonoid deficiencies, and we're hoping to have another graphic soon that Dr. Joe is looking at. We've not got an approval on that yet from him, but flavonoid deficiency syndrome. He's spoken on a corporate call about that, and he's expanded quite a bit in the doctor's calls, and I've put together a graphic on that too. So we've got 2, and this isn't a complete thing either. We're talking about Igalin here, so we've got Emulin, we've got Climax. But there are other things from other companies that can also health augment our diets. So that's and when I say augment our diets, we've got to have the foundation of food, good food. And then because it's so nutrient deficient and because of the farming practices we have in our culture today, and that's pretty much worldwide, and all the pesticides and herbicides we're missing when we can't get it all because the flavonoids are not in the foods as they were grown 100 years ago. So we need the Emulin, the Climax, and other good nutrients, and that's what we need to take it. So Ken, why don't I take it over to you, and you can talk about stage 4.
Yes, well, I happen to work there.
Yes, as do I.
Yes, so do you. So does Debbie.
Yes.
And we could put a lot of different things in there in traditional Chinese. I hope that enfolds meridian work, Debbie. So these are people, again, who are helping improve your health. And so, as you see, your foundation is what you build on. You fix the deficiencies. You can augment your health. There are certain things that will bring you along even further. And then when there are problems, or if you want to improve your health yet, there are natural holistic interventions that will improve your health again. And they're all in blue because they're health oriented, right? So they're seeking to improve health. Now, of course, dentistry and maybe optometric, they may bridge that gap between the blue and the red because they treat their share of disease as well. My optometrist friend deals a lot with oh golly. Anyway, I won't.
Root canals?
Yeah. Well, and retinal detachments and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So those are health oriented. Now, when you go to the top, it's red, and we don't mean that to pick on physicians or allopathic doctors, but we're just saying their focus is entirely different. They're fighting disease. I think this is one of the reasons that Dr. Rijen approved this, because that is exactly his approach. He worked in a field where they were fighting disease constantly, and he got tired of that, and was hoping to embrace health. And so the more you can build health up this pyramid, the less you need of that top one. And you'll notice the dollar signs get huge when you get into disease. And there was just a study in Canada, $13.8 billion in increased health costs due to bad food choices per year. So it's huge. Now, the other part of it, and it's a lot of people don't realize this. Allopathic practice is defined as a system of medicine that aims to combat disease through the use of remedies such as drugs or surgery. Practitioners rely on diagnosis of the disease state and are focused on fighting that disease. So that's how your GP works or your specialist works. They need a disease entity to battle with. Everything below that red area is engaged to prevent those disease entities from occurring. And that's the cheap stuff. Now, in our little part of the world here in Canada, well, let's call British Columbia my province, 80% of our healthcare budget is spent on chronic degenerative disease, which is ignorance of the blue part of the pyramid. So if you're doing the blue part of the pyramid, the healthcare budget decreases by 80%. Only 20% are the medical costs. And in my little part of the world, our taxes, or our healthcare budget is 48% of our taxes. So 80% of 40% of our taxes here, and I'm sure it's similar elsewhere, could be prevented by following this blue part. So it's actually a money saver and a suffering saver. Maureen has sure discovered that in spades. Now, we don't mean to pick on physicians. They're overloaded. They're hard to get into because they're seeing a lot of diseases that are better prevented. If we have a motor vehicle accident or a serious fracture or something like that, that's exactly where I want to be. And they've got the best tools. They can do marvelous things. But to use them to prevent some of these chronic disorders is like trying to swat flies with a Mack truck. I'm finished. Ron, you got anything else?
Yeah, I think
I got on my pedestal there a little bit. Sorry.
I think so often we think about drug therapy as being so wonderful because we can have pretty much instant results with alleviating some pain. You know, you get a headache, you get a broken arm, you have surgery for whatever reason, an emergency, and there are drugs that can really help and are very beneficial in times of crisis. But like Ken said, if we look at that blue area, that's pretty much your responsibility. Your responsibility. And that's something that people don't want to take anymore. They don't want to take care of themselves. They want to give it all up to the doctor because the doctor has been telling us through television and through drug commercials, the drug industry, that they have all the answers. So if they've got all the answers, why do we need to do anything? So we're not doing the basic things on the blue part of the pyramid. We're just leaving it all, and then pretty soon we do okay until we're 30s or 40s, and then it all starts to accumulate on us. And then, well, we're trained to go see your doctor because that's what we're told, and they put us on medications which cause side effects, which just makes that little point on the top there, the dollar just ka-ching, 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 and we're not really resolving anything. We're just masking symptoms that have been missed at the bottom of the pyramid. So we got to go to the big, we got to maximize levels 1 through 4 to really optimize our health. I don't know if that shows up on the screen totally there. It doesn't mind. But then we need to minimize level 5, that fighting disease. That's a last resort. But it's our responsibility to do the bottom. We've got to take that on. We cannot leave that to somebody. You can't leave it to your spouse. You've got to take that. A long time ago, I can remember Donna saying, Ron, I'm reading this book, and this lady is talking about, you really should be changing this, and you shouldn't be eating this, Ron. And for me, it was like, nag, 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 nag. But then when I heard somebody that I respected, now, not that I didn't respect my wife, don't get me wrong, I really do. But she was reading something from somebody that I didn't know. But when I met this doctor who spoke to me and started saying the same things that she was reading to me all these years, the lights went on, and I got it. And I mean, I got it to a passion, to take it to a level that's sometimes way beyond maybe where it ought to go, and people might even turn me off, and I got to temper it back, because otherwise they think you're a nut. But you know, we've got to be strong enough in our positions to really believe it, and when they see it, they know it. And then they may make that decision to make the right choices themselves, rather than relegate all those decisions to the doctor. And so many people will say, well, my doctor said I have to take this for life.
Yeah.
Could I add something there? Just to that point, there's something really sad in the whole scenario, and that is that people buy medical coverage and drug coverage, and so it's free, right? If you have to get all these other things, it's got to come out of your pocket in most cases. And so the mentality is, of course I'm going to go to the doctor because I get my prescription for 80% off or free, or the actual appointment is covered. And that's another point that people, if somehow, I don't know how that mentality is going to change, but people, like you said, will go where it's easier. They'll do the easiest thing and the cheapest thing. And unfortunately, the drugs are the cheapest thing if you have a program.
One of the great things that Maureen said, one of the really nice things that Maureen said was that, I'll interpret it, but she was firmly stuck at level 5. And somebody opened up the door to begin to proceed down that pyramid, and her body restored itself. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to hear. And when you get people that are stuck at that level, they partially don't believe that anything could work better than what they're getting. There's only one other comment that I'm going to make, is that at that foundational base level of healthy lifestyle choices, all of these things are backed up by serious research. These aren't fluffy things. There's serious research on that. And if you want to see something funny, it's not funny, I guess, peculiar. We now have physicians at level 5 prescribing exercise at level 1 for $200 a visit. And to me, that's a bit tragic.
Yeah, it's like prescribing water.
Yeah, exactly. They'll tell you this stuff and then charge you $200 for it.
So, I mean, one of the things that I see, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Maureen. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think the problem with medical doctors is that I can remember going to my doctor's office and getting handfuls, bagfuls of like trial parts of, you know what I mean? Like, let's try this, let's try. We didn't have a health plan, right? So she gave me all kinds of samples. So she's getting paid from that, right? From the pharmaceutical companies. She's not making any money this way. And I said to her, you can, like, my GP, she has the information. She sees me. She's got it right there, and she just will not, I can't even talk to her about it. And yet the surgeon, he wrote right in my chart online. She read it to me. Oh, so he said it, so then it's worthwhile to listen to, but when I say it, it's not. So I just don't talk to her about it. I talk to my chiropractor about it, because he's a wellness guy, right? Like, doctors, I think, they're not wellness people.
Doctors are illness people, and there's You know, there's that saying, there's no money in wellness, there's only money in disease.
Right, right.
There was a published study recently that there's a doctor, I forget what state he's in, he made millions of dollars recommending chemotherapy for people who did not have cancer only to make money.
I read
So
that.
we've got a real problem here, and the problem is the medical doctors have a great education when it comes to surgery, disease, and treatment of disease, but they have no education when it comes to knowing how to create a healthy body. They don't study it. And if they don't study it, they're not going to open themselves up to listen to a patient who may have a little bit of knowledge about nutrition or a whole lot. They're not going to listen because then they're not on the top of the heap. They're at the bottom. And that's the problem. We've got to somehow break through that. We need to respect. Ken said it perfectly a while ago. If someone has a broken arm, I'm not the doctor to come and see. If they need their gallbladder out or they got a ruptured appendix, then I'm not the doctor to take care of them. But if the gallbladder is acting up, don't go see the surgeon first. Come out and find out, why is it acting up? Why is it causing a problem? What have you missed in the beginning and the foundation of the health pyramid? So you can avoid number 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that the surgeon that did my arteries, the last time I seen him, I said to him, you know, Dr. Ayers, you know the damage that inflammation can do. I said, you're in and out of people's arteries and veins all the time. He said, oh yeah, I see it all the time. And so he can't believe the difference in my legs. He said, this is not possible. This is absolutely not possible, but I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So, I mean, I don't know why some doctors will listen to some. I've had people say to me, oh no, my doctor said, no, I can't take that. I said, well, my doctor said I couldn't take it either, but I was tired of being in a wheelchair. So you've seen how I was, you see how I am, you know. You can't do any more convincing than that. You're looking at me with your own eyes. I don't know how else to change your mind. You want to stay sick forever, then don't see me. I don't want to watch you complaining. I have the solution. Don't complain to me about being ill if you don't want to take the steps to get well. Sorry.
I think what we're fighting is we're fighting a multi-billion-dollar machine, which is the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
And the tide is beginning to change a little bit thanks to things like fentanyl. That is now the whole opioid crisis has people having a serious second look at medication. And so possibly the time is right for this type of an approach.
I agree.
Exactly. And I want to thank both of you in the way you've worked on this so that we could have this available, because I can see how this graphic, it will make it so simple, right? For us to be helping people understand the value of having the clean foundation and then supplementing the deficiencies with the Emulin and Climax. Now, I do want to just say, because I had all this time sitting here looking, that I think level 2 and level 3 should be the same, only $2 symbols, so that level 3 doesn't add an extra dollars in there.
And there really should be more dollar symbols up at the very top.
Exactly. Right.
So you can describe this to people as you will. And Ron and I were talking before the call tonight, and we would dearly love your feedback. This thing is not written in stone, and it will evolve.
So here's one thought that I had, because I do have an active imagination from this conversation we're having, that we have this top part that we're saying costs so much money, and it's red. What I think would be great is to have a second graphic that if you're not following the foundation of the first 3 levels, and the 4th, of course, is always optional, then you've got your pyramid turned upside down, and that red goes all the way down, and those $6, $7 symbols go all the way down. So if we had two to side by side, we let people, what's your choice, right?
That's a good point, and Ron and I were discussing exactly that, how to do it wrong.
Yes. Yeah, to give the visual of what it looks like if you don't have those first three levels in place. So the beautiful, though, fantastic. And I do want to see if there's other questions, and I have a question, Ron, to you from last week, because what I believed I heard you say was that you suggest an eighth of a teaspoon of the Himalayan salt per 15 ounces of water that gets drunk. Is that what you do?
That's what I do. And I do about first thing in the morning, and I add some cayenne pepper and a half a squeezed lemon. I start out that way. Warm water, half a squeezed lemon, quarter of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and chug that. And then about 10:30, another big glass of water with the salt, half hour before lunch, mid-afternoon, half hour before dinner, and then in the evening as well. So we're getting a lot of pink Himalayan salt, and we liberally use it on our food as well.
Yeah, I use it, but that amount is so much more than I've been using when I put it to the ratio of how much water I drink, right? So I will try that. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity.
And I just put it on the tongue and let it dissolve for about 30 seconds, and then I chug the water behind it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect.
And not cold water, room temperature or warm.
Always, never cold. All right, so Ron and Ken, you've got beautiful people are just really wanting to thank you. I'll let you read them because I know you can right there. And does anybody have any questions while this is up and before we just wind up for this evening's call? I'm going to give it 30 seconds.
Hi, this is Christy again.
Yes, Christy.
I can't figure out how to put my picture back up, but I just wanted to say that my background is in the actuarial field, and I spent 26 years helping people to save their money for their retirement, only to see them get sick and spend their money trying to get their health back, or they died and somebody else inherited their money. So I feel like I was so fortunate to have that understanding that you better be saving your health, because without it, all the money in the world may not do you any good.
There you go. Wow. Thank you, Christy. That is so well said and
Excellent point.
really beautiful. That is fantastic. Okay. I want to thank everybody. Lauren Vines is calling this a phenomenal call. Thank you all. Yes, good. Looking forward to the other graphic. All right, my friends, I don't see other questions. I do see we've gone over the hour. I think we're in just incredible appreciation to be having this great tool available in helping our customers, our family and friends understand even better. And thank you both to Christy and Maureen for your beautiful testimonials. I knew I was looking forward to this call, and it's been a thorough delight, and I've just enjoyed it, and I think everyone here has. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your contributions. Have a lovely night, and come join us again next week as we have our character residence, Brian MacArthur, that Jackie Boyle is going to be interviewing. We're going to get to hear his stories and be inspired by him. So see you all.
Excellent.
There he is. Hi, Brian. All right.
Have a good one, guys.
Build up your week
Take
now.
care.
We'll be
Good
looking.
night, everyone.
Thank you,
Take care,
everybody.
Ron.
All right, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And
Good night.
Right.